SeaWorld San Antonio is both the newest and largest of the three SeaWorld parks. This park has all the animal exhibits you'd expect, plus a small but strong collection of roller coasters. But this park also is notable for its odd setup. So in this video, I will review SeaWorld San Antonio, providing an overview of the park's history and attraction lineup. SeaWorld San Antonio is roughly 20 to 30 minutes from downtown San Antonio. The park originally opened in 1988 as SeaWorld of Texas. At this time, it was the only major amusement park in San Antonio. Although maybe amusement park is not the right term to describe this park, because it originally opened without any rides. It only had animal exhibits and shows. A few years later, it was announced that Fiesta Texas would open in 1992, just 20 minutes away from SeaWorld. This would be a major amusement park nestled within a quarry wall, with a lot of roller coasters and thrill rides. To compete, SeaWorld decided they needed to start adding amusement rides. Because of the hot Texas climate, they went with two water rides, the Texas Splashdown Log Flume and the Rio Loco River Rapids ride. Both opened in 1991, but only Rio Loco still soaks guests to this day, as Texas Splashdown closed in 2011. In 1996, Fiesta Texas was purchased by Time Warner and rebranded as the Six Flags Park. In response to the blossoming thrill park, SeaWorld looked to add the chain's first roller coaster. So in 1997, Great White, a Baljar-Mabillard inverted coaster, was added, and the strong reception of this ride was important for both SeaWorld San Antonio and the entire chain. The success of Great White showed SeaWorld that roller coasters had a place in their marine life parks, and it's unlikely we would have seen the major thrill coasters across the chain without this ride. Today, SeaWorld San Antonio has 6 roller coasters, but just 13 rides in total. That is an incredibly small amount for an amusement park as large as SeaWorld San Antonio. The park covers a whopping 250 acres in size, and it feels every bit as large as that, possibly larger. The park forms a giant loop around a central lake, and the major coasters are very much spread out. For most parks, a massive amount of land is an advantage and a blessing. It allows them to add things without removing rides. But I think it's a weakness for SeaWorld San Antonio. This size causes the park to feel hollow and empty. Because of the lack of attractions and sheer size of the park, you will have long walks with no attractions on the way. Most parks will break up the walks between major rides with flat rides, but SeaWorld has barely any flat rides, so most of the time you will walk down these desolate pathways. There are some shops, animal exhibits, and shows, but the latter are on a time schedule, so you can't rely on doing them at any given time. I really hope SeaWorld can rectify this issue going forwards, because it would breathe some much needed life and atmosphere into the park. The park does look very nice though. Like all the SeaWorld parks, this one is very well landscaped, and the rides all sport fresh paint schemes. At several points, it feels more like you're in a jungle than an amusement park because of all the shrubbery and lack of attractions. The other thing that plays into the park's empty feel is the park's very odd setup. At the other two SeaWorld parks, all of the animal exhibits are inside the park's gate. That is not the case at the San Antonio location. After passing through security, you reach a central plaza with 3 options. To the right is the amusement park. Straight ahead is Aquatica, the park's separate gate water park. And to the left is Discovery Point, a free admission oasis home to dolphins and sharks. It always confused me why Discovery Point was not built inside the amusement park itself. Having these animal exhibits inside the main park would really help fill out the park in a similar manner as it does for the San Diego and Orlando locations. But the benefit here is that you can visit Discovery Point without having an admission ticket if you aren't into amusement rides. Discovery Point is just as well landscaped as the main park. The star of the area is undeniably the dolphins. The park has tons of them, and they're always super active. You can watch the trainers feed them above ground, or you can watch them swim from the underwater viewing area. But I also really enjoy the Explorers Reef Indoor Aquarium, where you can see fish and sharks. Inside the main park, you have a few other animal exhibits, most notably the Penguin Encounter, where you will see more penguins than you can count, and the Pacific Point Reserve, where you can see barking sea lions. Beyond these animal exhibits, you also have a few aquatic shows. The most popular is the Orca Encounter, featuring the park's famous killer whales, but you also have the Ocean Discovery with beluga whales, and Sea Lion High with the always funny Clyde and Seymour. The latter is my favorite show in the park, but the others should not be missed if you're a whale fan. And one major tip I have for you is to avoid visiting the closest ride to a stadium once a show concludes. These arenas hold a ton of people, and all those people will flock to the nearby attractions once the show concludes. This causes a massive but brief spike in the nearby ride's wait time. Orca Stadium drives up Texas Stingray's wait, Beluga Stadium drives up Journey to Atlantis' wait, and Sea Lion Stadium spikes Steel Eel's queue time. In general, wait times at SeaWorld San Antonio are very manageable, if you can avoid these spikes. Steel Eel and Great White are usually walk-ons. The water rides can get long lines on a hot summer day, but you can avoid these lines once the night falls. But the one ride that has consistently a long wait is Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster. This ride has always had a 30 to 45 minute wait in my visits to the park, so I would advise hitting this ride early. Texas Stingray is another one that can generate a long line. In my visits last year, Texas Stingray was a walk-on when it was running 2 trains, but if it was running just 1 train, it often had a 30 to 60 minute wait midday. The biggest reason the rides at SeaWorld San Antonio can sometimes have long lines is the atrocious operations. The park will often run just 1 train on each of the major coasters, even on weekends. Dispatches are also painfully slow at this park. This is most evident on Steel Eel, where the park has separate seatbelt and lap bar checks. But even rides like Great White and Texas Stingray, that are quick loaders at other parks, take a while to send out trains. The third issue is that SeaWorld often has staggered openings. Definitely check the operating hours for the major rides on the day you visit. Steel Eel typically opens with the park, but it's not uncommon to see all the other coasters open an hour later. And some will close a bit early too. If lines are an issue, the park does offer an affordable skip the line pass and quick queue that'll usually get you on the next train. Just know the park's newest ride can only be skipped once, and it will be a pricey upcharge. This is a similar policy to the other SeaWorld parks and Busch Gardens parks. While the staff may not be the most efficient, they are very friendly. They are always willing to accommodate seating requests, and they are helpful if you have any questions. Moving on to the ride lineup, SeaWorld San Antonio has 6 coasters. The newest is Texas Stingray, a Great Coasters International wood coaster that opened in 2020, right before the pandemic shutdown. This GCI is a fast-paced wood coaster with a strong layout. The first half has a wonderful airtime-filled first drop, and several larger turnarounds with pops of airtime. The second half is weaker on the airtime, but it does hug the ground and really maintains the ride sense of speed. And because the ride just opened, it is as smooth as a wood coaster can be. I have a separate review that goes into more detail, but Texas Stingray is one of GCI's better coasters, and this will be a favorite ride in the park for many enthusiasts. But my favorite ride at the park is Steel Eel, the Morgan Mega Coaster. This coaster is a simple out and back layout, but the giant camelbacks offer some of the most sustained floater airtime of any coaster. The one issue is that the seats do not have much padding, so you are violently slammed back down in your seat after each hill. However, I am willing to take the pain for the quantity of airtime that Steel Eel delivers. I have a separate review on this coaster as well that goes into more detail. For inversions, your only option is Great White, the B&M invert. I find it funny San Antonio features 2 Batman the Ride clones, yet neither are called Batman. Like the other Batman clones, this ride is incredibly smooth and forceful. Plus, this one does use the terrain more. The vertical loops always cause me to start seeing gray, the 0G roll is very snappy, and the turns always cause my legs to tingle. Plus, those final 2 corkscrews really whip you through them. Again, I know this is a clone, but it fits in very well at the park, and I'll go into more detail in a separate review. Wavebreaker is the park's best family coaster. Built over the central lagoon, this intimate multi-launch coaster has riders aboard jet skis. The riding position is neat, and combined with the ride's placement right above the water, it really accentuates this coaster's speed. The launches have some decent kick to them, and there are a few forceful U-turns, but the ride spends most of its time just meandering about, which is understandable for a family coaster, and I also go into more details on this ride in a separate review. Journey to Atlantis is a short mock water coaster. It feels like a glorified Shoot the Chutes ride. The ride is not a major soaker, and it feels sort of gimmicky with the 2 turntables and backwards drop, but the final plunge is quite large and thrilling for a water ride. Just note this ride often is closed if you visit early or late in the park's season. The final coaster is Super Grover's Boxcar Derby, a zero kiddie coaster. This ride is perfect for the kids, and it's part of a colorful children's area in the Sesame Street Bay of Play. This land is a few other kiddie rides, plus a giant play area, and some character meet and greets. As I mentioned earlier, this park's flat ride lineup is minuscule. They only have Riptide Rescue with Spinning Ride, and the Sea Swinger Frisbee Ride, both of which opened in 2019 as part of Turtle Reef. The park is rumored to be receiving an S&S Scream and Swing, which will be a much appreciated addition, but I still think more flat rides is needed to help round out this park. The final attraction is the aforementioned Rio Loco, an Intamin River Rapids ride. The ride is well landscaped and has some very turbulent waterways, but it was not a major soaker for me, at least on my single ride, so I would not recommend waiting in a long line for it on a hot day. If rides are a priority for you, I would strongly advise against visiting on a rainy day. Last year, I tried visiting on a day with a ton of rain, and the park kept every ride closed, even in between the breaks in the rain. If your only priority are the animal exhibits, rainy days are a great day to visit because the crowds will be extremely minimal. I have never had any meals at SeaWorld San Antonio because I usually eat at Six Flags Fiesta Texas with my meal plan. The only item I've purchased here was a snack, and it was a pretzel. It was better than your average super pretzel, but it was not as good as the pretzels you can find at the other Busch Gardens parks or SeaWorld Orlando. The last tip I have if you plan to visit several of the SeaWorld parks is to purchase a Platinum Pass at SeaWorld San Antonio. Platinum Passes at this park cost $200 as of this recording. The same pass will cost you $400 at Busch Gardens parks or SeaWorld Orlando. SeaWorld San Diego and Sesame Place are just a hair pricier than SeaWorld San Antonio's Platinum Passes, but purchasing at the San Antonio park is the most economical option if at all possible. Of the 3 SeaWorld parks, the San Antonio location is probably my least favorite due to the park's poor operations and empty feel. With the chain's focus shifting more to amusement rides, the latter should be corrected over the next decade. These new rides should help breathe more life into the park and complement the park's headlining coasters, which are already quite strong. SeaWorld San Antonio is not a perfect park, but it does have some great roller coasters and several nice animal encounters. If you're only here for the coasters, you probably only need a few hours. But if you are interested in the marine life, you'll probably need a full day to experience everything because of the show times and sheer number of animal exhibits. Of the San Antonio parks, I much prefer Six Flags Fiesta Texas because it has superior rides and a lot more of them too. So those are my thoughts on SeaWorld San Antonio, the massive hybrid aquarium and amusement park in Texas. Have you been to this park? How do you think it compares to the other parks in SeaWorld's chain? I would love to hear your thoughts of this park down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.